Alice, a childish story take, and with a gentle hand, lay it where little girls' dreams are twined, in memory's mystic band, like a pilgrim's wreath of flowers, plucked in a far-off land. We are now hair-tied gamers. I got sick of my hair getting in my face. I got a package in the middle of recording. I care about this way more. This is way cooler. It's been fucking open before. Look at this. This is fucking sick. An amount of time passes. We get to a scene of a nice, peaceful picnic date with our beloved Alice, together again at last after the events of Black Souls 1. Phew, this is nice. Grimm spending time with his lovely little sister. Or wait, was it his mom? Or no. It was his daughter, right? Oh, whatever. That doesn't matter. All that matters is that Grimm's back with Alice, enjoying a wonderful golden afternoon. Nothing could be more perfect. Slowly falling asleep under the tree. Once Grimm wakes up shortly afterward, the ground underneath him starts to fall apart and Alice is nowhere to be seen. Having nowhere to go, Grimm falls down a deep, deep hole far underground, and gears start to spin in his head. He awakes down at the bottom of the rabbit hole, a pit of blood and corpses with no way out. Eventually, man screams all the way down to the bottom, dying on impact. Luckily, he has a key. Using the key, Grimm can open a door and climb up the crash pit and into the rabbit hole proper. A blood-covered hallway full of white rabbits eating corpses and those who came through. Meeting the Cheshire Cat along the way, a guide who turns out to talk nothing but bullshit, only to disappear. Eventually, Grimm runs into the head-hunting rabbit, a massive, horrific beast that stands as the only thing stopping Grimm from leaving. But this is no ordinary horrific rabbit. This is none other than Vorpal, the legendary Jabberwock slayer and wielder of the Vorpal blade, master of the try-attack technique. Using his own sword against him, in that moment, he'll remember who he truly is. A legendary hero who slayed an evil dragon. And Grimm's long-lost friend. Bati video. Cut that out. Dying at any point will land Grimm in the familiar moonlit library. Only now, it's just a dream library. A place far removed from Wonderland. Or so it seems. There, he will meet the White Rabbit Node, who serves as his guide and something like a consultant. And now Node is nice enough, a little gloomy, and a bit aloof. But at the very least, she talks normal, unlike most of the inhabitants of Wonderland. She also informs you of the 4 terrorizing terror. Who the fuck wrote this? I'm gonna go back in time and kill my past self. She also informs you of the 4 terrors terrorizing Wonderland. The Queen of Hearts, Lorena, the Jub Bird, the Bandersnatch, and the Corpse Dragon Jabberwocky. There is a white talking stuffed polar bear who sells items and is somehow a blacksmith. New to the game is a mechanic Sen, which serves more or less as a sanity system. And the lower it goes, the crazier shit gets. Not being able to understand NPCs, music getting creepier, and eventually turning everything into monsters. Turns out, Sen stands for sentience. In Black Souls 2, you have one goal. Find Alice. She's somewhere in Wonderland, And maybe go deal with the Forterras. That's not important. So, all you do is simply run around until you find her, right? Well, Black Souls 2 has a fuck ton going on this time, so it's a bit harder to summarize everything. Flying around Ojo-sama laughing is the insane Jub Jub bird, who if not taken care of will kill every important NPC in Wonderland by driving them insane. And who are these NPCs? Well, there's a lot of them, so... Note, the former White Queen and Great One who gave up her powers instead of clinging onto the little bit of it that remains in order to help out the Crawling Ones breed Grimm, so she's a gloomy professional rabbit who holds secret feelings for Grimm in her many interactions across the several loops. Also, by the way, Black Souls 2 is also in a time loop. But she's always there to help Grimm, either leveling him up, making watches, or in some more mysterious ways in the background. Cheshire Cat is a servant of Node who acts as both her eyes and ears on Wonderland, and also serves as something kind of like a guide, except she gives way worse advice, and she's an annoying cat. And in Wonderland proper, there's Griffy, a wandering knight, here for the Queen of Hearts, Lorena, who's a tiny lily who wants to chop everyone's heads off, but the deep lore says she actually hates the sight of blood. But she's actually considered to be one of the 4 fiends who shares the spot, along with the insane Jub Jub bird, the dog-like Bandersnatch, and the corpse Jabberwocky. Out of all of these, only Jub Jub is an issue because she will go around and drive everyone insane enough to kill themselves in comedic and not-so-comedic ways. Bandersnatch is too stupid to harm anyone and just eats corpses, and Jabberwocky is for some reason too busy building snowmen. Drifty is also friends with the Mock Turtle, a horribly shy girl that works at a beach that sells turtle soup. I don't know what the fuck turtle soup is. She's horrible at talking to other people and usually bursts into tears if people even try to talk to her. If Jub Jub gets around to her, she will slit her wrist and write a suicide note to Griffy apologizing. The two may or may not be lesbian lovers. There is also the Duchess, who constantly eats and eats and eats, cucks her husband, who is a pumpkin-headed knight named Pumpkinhead, or Pumpkin Knight, I don't remember, one of the two. And despite having a giant infinite supply of food in her basement that's alive, she likes to eat human babies. And while already insane enough, if Jub Jub grabs a hold of the Duchess, she will just eat herself. Or a snake, or a Boris. This is after she eats the dodo bird, who is a stupid bird with massive tits that run the caucus race. There's no deep lore about her. She runs real fast. Hiding in the shadow of another bird, who this time is the great eagle Edith, who resides in a mental asylum. In said mental asylums are the twins Tweedledee and Tweedledum. 2 twins who care for no one else other than each other. A lot more than you should care about your sibling. Don't do it. Bad. The 2 are also former patients of at least either this asylum or an asylum. Tweedledee and Tweedledum try desperately to survive. But that eagle the twins are hiding from was also once a patient in the asylum who shares the name of Alice's younger sister. There she would become friends with the serial killer Jack the Ripper, who shared the cell next to her. Eventually Edith would become a demon beast, resulting in the great grey eagle, Edith. Edith would become an eagle named Edith. Jack the Ripper, on the other hand, would somehow escape the asylum and pretend to be his own detective, pretend to be Sherlock Holmes. While in actuality, he would just go around and kill all the prostitutes in Lutwich Town, largest city in all of Wonderland. That was built by the carpenter, who was apparently an idiot because not only did he never finish, and everyone complains about it, the city is just built on top of each other. So you just have houses on top of houses before fucking off one day into the deepest part of the ocean, never to be seen again. One girl, One girl Jack the Ripper didn't get to is March Hare, friends with the Mad Hatter and the Dormouse. The 3 enjoying their insane tea parties until the Jub Jub bird will hang all of them. But, interestingly enough, the March Hare, with her actual thousands of STDs aside, and the Mad Hatter seem to know way more than they're letting on. Breaking the 4th wall on several occasions and giving very vague, cryptic, poetic lines of dialogue. I wouldn't really call them a device. And while going through the list of fun and wacky NPCs is fun and wacky, the truth is, none of it's real. Wonderland, in all its wild and kookiness, is hiding a dark secret, at which it's nothing more than a play for the crawling ones in Grimm, designed to lull our protagonist in a never-ending cycle of pleasure and lust, in order to keep Grimm trapped here forever. See, Sen, which stands for sentience, in most games, if your sanity meter goes down into like the negative, that's bad. Because that means bad stuff happens. And if it goes up, it means it's good. Actuality in Black Souls 2, big twist, it's reversed. The lower it goes, the more like cognizant you're seeing the world. The higher it goes, it's more of both your brain trying to cope with seeing horrific malnutritions of God and being fucked with by Cthulhu. Shit happens, man. Every girl met, aside from a few, are just creations of the Crawling One. Jub Jub, Bandersnatch, and the Jabberwocky are all just heads of the Crawling Ones, each pretending to be an Alice. Node, knowing this, does try and send the Cheshire Cat to stop Grimm from meeting up with any of the fake Alices, going so far as having Cheshire slaughter both Grimm and whatever version of Alice is being used in that cycle. This goes on for quite a while, over 38 times in fact, if the book Node reads is used to keep track of how many cycles pass is anything to go by. So, how do you break the cycle of an omnipotent mega eldritch god who has trapped your soul here in hell? Easy. Duh. By asking help from people who aren't in the play. Retard. Because you see, for some reason, Wonderland is the newest hotspot in the Eldritch multiverse. Cootie, actually Cthulhu's daughter, just her straight up daughter, is there to make babies and flood the world. There's also a puppet named Mabel, along with Red from the first game, who turns out to not actually be dead, along with Leaf, who also isn't dead. She just had her power stolen by the Crawling Ones and put into a puppet named the Grand Guignol, or Alice Puppet number 2, as well as the real succubus sister Victoria. The one in the first game was just a shitty copy. Also, there's Hein from the Black Trial, who's now just a conductor, and Miranda. And by Miranda, I mean a ghoul who ate her fucking body, got all her memories, and felt so bad he just decided to pretend to be Miranda.
Why are we still here?
So, it turns out that Black Souls 2 takes place after one of the cycles where Grimm didn't kill everyone, and instead just invited the Crawling Ones in after letting the goat demon Baphomet take over the world. All of the girls from the first game just died in Wonderland instead. That's why there's traces of them in the second game, like Jean's shield and Elma's cloak. Also, here's where you find out in the Asylum records that Dorothy was never a man and was instead a woman who was instituted in a mental hospital because Leaf fucked with her and made her think she was a man turned into a woman. Dorothy is also being the only one Grimm can actually say goodbye to in a heartbreaking scene that can only be explained by Grimm having a mental collapse, I guess. My man is struggling. But luckily, with the help of Red Hood, Grimm is able to regain not only his past memories, but also the events of the previous game, the shit I already talked about, and the memories of Lewis Carroll. Not important. Just like actually not important. Lewis Carroll is just one of the many souls in his body.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer?
In the Toroverse, he's a pedophile. Exploring Wonderland together, kinda, it turns out that Grimm has a few demons, and in a run-down brothel the two are staying at, Grimm has a psychotic episode and loses it. He notices that Red, just like Alice, has blonde hair and blue eyes. So he starts calling Red Alice and forces her to dress up like Alice, and then proceeds to violently rape and strangle his friend. You see, before this, the two apparently have been having sex pretty regularly. They enjoy each other's company, and Red has someone she can finally trust after years of abuse. Another reason is Red really wants a child, despite knowing she's going to die on her 20th birthday, saying her reason is she wants the world to have something to remember her by. But after this event, Red frees herself after Grim blacks out. And understandably, it's like, yeah, you have problems. I know it's not you. But it's best we don't stick together right now. You're a dangerous individual. Along the way, Grim learns the secrets of the universe from Mabel. Turns out to be a weird, wine-drinking goth girl who speaks vaguely and clearly always knows more than she's letting on. She's also, deep lore, very bad at chess. Everyone just lets her win. But, most importantly though, in Mabel's garden, in the ever-changing rogue-like labyrinth of the garden Chantrash, the Hell Kaiser comes back for round 4! From the depths of hell, his immortal spirit of rage and vengeance returns after having his body destroyed time and time again, and a violent purple flame he holds but one desire: to destroy his eternal rival! In one more climactic clash, the two of them have but this to say once it's all over: see you in hell, my eternal foe. Fuck, that's not what it says. But the Hell Kaiser isn't the only rematch waiting for Grim. For deep in the labyrinth lies a figure that would only know Grim by one name, the name of Lancelot. The old king of chess herself, she who wields Excalibur and the filter of casuals, the old king of chess, deepest lore, she's King Arthur from Fate. Ah, it's true. They had the deepest lore of all time. Oh my, all the memes are right. Excel Zero was correct all those years ago. The deepest lore. Not even the lake god has the deep, interesting stories as this one boss at the end of a giant roguelike dungeon who has an attack called Excalibur. It's a wind attack. If we're going by fate, King Arthur is associated with wind. Black Souls is fucking stupid.
Out of the shadows, barrage of which tongue go spit over apocalyptic go. Don't call this smoke, stop music seriously. It goes.
And before we get to the final act, we actually have one NPC who I've left out. In the realm of the Looking Glass lies Queensland. No, not the province in Australia. The home of the second Red Queen, the shining prink idol Pricket, who wows her audience about songs of love and lost romance. The crowd roars and cheers for her appearance and dazzling performance. Grim stumbles upon this concert show in the search for Alice, and either wowed by her performance or simple curiosity, he breaks into the back and into her personal room, in which the idol only seems mildly surprised. After getting to know each other, Pricket invites him on a date. Together, they go explore Queensland. For you see, it's a massive carnival, and the two have a great time, drinking boba tea, playing the games, laughing at the shitty clown jokes, and even going to the movies in the Lovecraft cinema to watch A Tea Party for Three. And the final memory comes rushing back. The time before Mary Sue and the Dark Gods, where Grim, the Prayer Master, and Alice were all just friends, living their days together in an endless tea party, the bantering between the artistic knight and the gentlemanly black rabbit. Amidst the giggling of the girl, together the three battled against the evils of Wonderland and went on many adventures. Together the three could weather any storm. But unfortunately, she and he fell in love. The sweetest, most innocent of love, a love born out of those nights spent reading fairy tales and many other stories in that nostalgic moonlit library. Thus, the two lovers would confess in secret amongst these rows of dusty books. Or so they thought. For their friend the rabbit bore witness to the act of young love coming forth. In all his pettiness and all his jealousy, he wished dearly for the two to be split apart in a selfish act, praying to whatever dark god would hear him. And unfortunately, he was heard. Tears streamed down Brigitte's cheeks as she watched the familiar memory play before her, a gentle finger wiping away the tears from her cheek. A finger that is part of the hand that she knows well, for it is the gentle and kind hands of her lover who she saved all those years ago. Cursed for daring to love, the poor girl is damned to sit in the background of her own story, as an imposter sits there in her place, forced to watch the whole thing. There are scars on her wrist. In some obscure dialogue during the date, it is revealed that Prickett feels unbelievably guilty for this act. For the time, she didn't think herself to be worthy of happiness because of what she is. Just a part of a greater whole, the crawling ones. A part in her subconscious, she secretly wished that none of this happened because she felt like she didn't deserve any of it. And now, she's forced to be but a background actor to her own story. Quite literally forced to watch as her lover and the main character goes around copulating and with other women that are made to appeal to him in very specific ways, like looking like Alice. But he doesn't even have Alice's form anymore. She's quite literally had that identity stolen from her. Now all those songs about romance and lost love make a little bit more sense. In the darkness underneath the waves of the endless blue, lies in ruins the scene of some of our worst sins. One woman beaten to death, another woman stabbed to death, another woman raped and then murdered, all in a cruel manner horrible enough for God to sneer. Their lives but fleeting, brittle in the end. They are nothing more than consumable goods, born alone and vanish, then born alone and vanish again. All for selfish pleasure. A swarm of black souls whisper, "You are the evil one." And they scream. While Grimm may not have personally killed them this time, there is a cycle in where he did. That is more than enough. And now, with all that out of the way, our demons and sins and misforgivings behind us, how does one win a rigged game? That's simple. The only way to win is to not play at all. Breaking the system, refusing to take part in the play set up before him, Grimm fights through the horrifying true forms of the residents of Wonderland. Meeting up with Miranda and Hein, the three of them battle Jub Jub, the Bandersnatch, and Jabberwocky, an epic battle that leaves a wounded Hein, causing the two of them to have to retreat. Grimm soon is able to meet back up with Red, and together with Poro, the three confront the crawling ones, the master of it all, and battle to finally free themselves from this insanity, slaying Alice after Alice, chopping the many heads of the Hydra, covering themselves in the spewing black blood of an elder god. Battle is long and hard fought, but soon enough, it's over. Wonderland collapses, and it's as if it was all but a terrible dream. Grimm wakes up from the nightmare back in his house in the real world, in the foggy streets of his hometown. He walks out to meet his friend, Red. And with that, it's over. They meet and they have a happy life together. Able to get past all their issues. And that's the end of the story. Not! Only to wake back up in the library with Node. Fools! For even this was a part of the Master's master plan. Turns out deciding something as cliche as not playing was nothing more but another scripted event. And there's truly nowhere out! Well, there might be one way.